Hi, I'm Dr. Dyan Haspel-Johnson, and it is time for Weekly Sleep Tip. You know, one of the things that I've observed that people tend to do a lot of times in life, but particularly when they have insomnia, when their minds are kind of like trying to process information, going to fears and anxieties and injustices and things like that, is we actually kind of search for things that are incomplete, and we search for injustices. We search for stories, experiences, evidence that proves to us a lot of times that we're vulnerable in some way, that some injustice has occurred, and that is evidence for why someone has harmed us, why it's unsafe, why we're unloved, why we're unworthy, why we should have regrets, why we should have shame, all of these kinds of things, guilt. And so we're oriented towards those things. Now that's interesting in the context of self-hypnosis, because hypnosis and self-hypnosis are really about where we put our attention. And the more we focus on where one particular thing, whether that's good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant, whatever that is, it's a story, it's a belief, it's an orientation. And when we focus on that orientation, it goes deeper and we feel it more and more deeply. That's why sometimes when we're having trouble going to sleep and we feel more and more stressed about that, the more stressed we feel about that, the more hypnotized we become in this story that we're not going to be able to sleep and it's always going to be like this and whatever else. The same happens when we focus on these injustices, when we kind of collect them, when we look for evidence of them. And so keep in mind, that is a self-hypnotic story. The wonderful thing about learning self-hypnosis is that when you shift where you put your attention and your awareness, what the story is that you're telling, what the details of that story are, you can shift your entire physical and emotional and mental reality. So keep this in mind and begin to shift your orientation towards things that support you. So when you notice yourself focusing on gathering evidence about how you've been harmed or how you're under threat, keep in mind it's a new moment and shift that. Maybe instead see if you can figure out ways that you're being supported. Like, for example, even right now, you're listening to me and you're trying to support yourself by listening. Is this something that might help me? And maybe it is and maybe it isn't. Maybe you like what you're hearing, maybe you don't, but you know that there's someone out there who's trying to support you and help you in some way, coming up with an idea. And you, by watching this, are supporting and helping yourself. So you can orient yourself to that piece, which is that you haven't given up on yourself. You're working to support yourself. You're coming up with creative ideas. Some will work, some won't work, but you can still focus on the good in that. Focus on the pleasantness of that, on the hope in that, and all of these kinds of things. And when you do that, you're collecting love and support and hopefulness and resources and creativity and possibility and those kinds of things. And so you can continue to focus on that, especially when you're going to sleep. And it helps you reorient yourself in a self-hypnotic way that is more towards your liking and supports your health and well-being. All right, give it a try. Let me know what you think. And you can feel free to go to my website where you can find all kinds of free blogs and tips and tricks and things like that. And where you can also, if you'd like to, learn self-hypnosis and more about it. It's just, you go to the link in my profile and you can find your way there. All right, sweet dreams.